Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another video. This one is pretty special. It is really some of the fundamentals regarding how I've been able to grow my business and how even really as a high school dropout, if not worse than a high school dropout, because, you know, I was homeschooled and I didn't even really finish that, never got my GED, nothing. How I was able to come from there, from like purely, totally academically, like almost nothingness, to scaling what is now a six-figure business that I can run from here in my bedroom at 19 years old. And I want to explain to you some of the principles that I have followed in order to achieve this, because truthfully, all I'm doing is tapping into some of the things that have really never changed in humanity. And I want to share some of those things and some of the things that have never changed. And then I also want to talk about how there are some things that do change, and the studying of those is also necessary in order to find success. So I want to talk about how to learn, how to practice, and really ultimately how to implement and self-study. Okay, and this video is titled something along the lines of like why I dropped out of high school, how I grew a six-figure business while a high school dropout at 19, and all these sorts of things. And I just want you to, first of all, before we continue this video, remove all speculation, because yes, it is true, I have been able to do that. And then not only that, but I want you to remove the six-figure level off of a pedestal, because in this day and age, 6 figures of profit is not that hard to achieve, because let's be honest, we have the internet, which has opened up mass markets for, you know, just your everyday average person like myself to come in and dominate within. And if you recognize the internet as a bridge for people to connect, and then you recognize business ultimately as a relationship focused, I guess, arena, then you realize that the internet really is the best thing that ever happened to business, and 6 figures isn't really that, it's really not that good anymore. And so as proud as I am of 6 figures, my goal is 7, if not multiple 7 figures. I want to have a multiple $1-million business, at least by the time I'm 30, if not like 25, is really the goal. And I plan on doing that just by continuing to move forward with what I'm doing now. So I'm going to stop talking about myself. This is not about me. This really is about you. I want to help you understand what is navigated, or what I've used as navigation to get to where I am now. Because really, it's kind of like, you know, trying to navigate the sea without a compass or without an understanding of the stars. You're kind of just relying on instinct, and instinct doesn't get you anywhere if you're in an environment that you're not familiar with. So you have to rely on other sources of information. The stars never really change, the compass never really changes, because you have the 2 poles, and those are kind of going to be the same forever. And so that's really the basis upon which I've built everything. So let's talk about the first principle that I've followed, and the first thing that I understand, and that's just-in-time information versus just-in-case information. And so when you look at academia as a whole, and I would say a good 85-90% of the time, academia is just-in-case information. And what just-in-case information is it's effectively learning things just in case. Things like, you know, random facts about like biology or chemistry or these sorts of things. And then being, you know, an inch deep and a mile wide, meaning you have a little bit of information about a lot of subjects. And that's just in case information. That's effectively, it's only there to make you look smart or to make you feel smart. And it's also only there to give you academic, you know, I guess recognition, right? Just in case information holds no true market value, because all that it allows you to do is have a safety net of information that in case you ever need it, it's there. Like in case I ever become, you know, a chemist and I'm inventing medicine for a certain purpose or something, or a new chemical to I don't know, clean windows better or something, then maybe I will fall back on which my chemistry knowledge is almost minimum. But for you, maybe you have a little bit of knowledge there, and you would fall back onto that as a foundation to move forward, right? So just in case information sort of assumes that later down the line, you're going to need this stuff. Whereas just-in-time information, and we're living in the just-in-time information age, where, for example, my little brother runs a landscaping business now, and I encouraged him to get that started, and hopefully he sees me as an encouragement, and I'm pushing him forward, right? And he was on the job site recently at a gig that he didn't really know how to do. And the guy's saying, hey, I need you to do this. I need you to do, I need you to remove this type of weed. I need you to spray this type of chemical. And I would really like if this piping was done here as well. And he didn't know how to do 3 out of those 4 things. And so he just got on Google and figured it out, and then charged the guy the same you would if you already knew how to do the project, right? And what's beautiful about that is now it doesn't come down to who knows what. It comes down to who's willing to do what and how good you are with people. And then information can simply be Googled from there. So for me, I run an education company where we help people start and scale profitable social media marketing agencies, where you're selling social media marketing services to businesses. And one of the modules in the program, I talk about how to recognize information gaps and fill them on your own. Because I will give you 99% of what you need, but as you go throughout life, you're going to need to develop the skill of your own personal research, right? And I teach people how to do that, and they've said that that one module alone is worth the price of admission on the program, because it really helps you realize that you're truly unstoppable. So that's the first thing that I've really built my entire business off of, is just-in-case information versus just-in-time information. And another example of just-in-time information could be, for example, I used to be a wedding photographer, so I have all my wedding photography gear actually on the bottom rung of this shelf right here. And I would say by now, since I've sold some of it out, I probably have $7,000 to $10,000 worth of wedding photography gear down here. Okay, and that was all from my account. I didn't have any parental help or anything like that. I started with a small camera that my parents got for me when I was like 14 for like $400 or something, and I just slowly scaled it up from there. Shot my first wedding at 17, and that was a really fun business. And people ask often, how on earth did you learn how to shoot weddings? Just-in-time information. So I simply had the confidence to say, I can figure this out. And I went and figured it out. And I got on Google, I found some YouTube channels, I read some books, I think I spent probably $50 max on one single course, which was from this photographer that I really liked. His name was Joe Busink, I think, and he had this really wonderful way of capturing images. And sorry, the lighting situation is sort of changing here, so I think I'm just gonna do this, I guess. Yeah, that looks a bit better. And so I learned really quickly how to handle a wedding day, because a lot of it is just people skills and your ability to find composition in the moment, right? And within about 6 months, I really had everything I needed to know, and I just went and started selling the service and got a lot of word of mouth marketing going, and I started to have a really legitimate business. And eventually I went through a house fire and had to stop that. So that's a good example of just-in-time information, right? I learned along the way as I needed the information. And then my library is a good example of that as well. People always ask, and this is only a chunk of my library, actually most of my books now are on my Kindle. But people always ask, where do you find your books? How do you actually figure out what books to read? Well, as I move forward, I discover new problems, and then I get on Google, or I ask around, I ask in Facebook groups, I ask friends, hey, what's a good book on this specific subject? Then I'm recommended books. And often books reference other books, and then I kind of follow this chain out, and now at this point I've read well over 100 books, I'm sure, and they've all been relevant to what I'm trying to do, which is build a business and sell stuff, right? And it deals with people, it deals with the mind, it deals with marketing, it deals with sales, it deals with product design, all these sorts of things. It deals with, different company structures. It deals with investment strategies, because I'd like to have some assets built for myself. So all these sorts of things I've read books on. And so that's just-in-time information. So let me move on from that. You get the point. Just-in-case information versus just-in-time information. Adopt a just-in-time information way of viewing the world, and you will move so much quicker than your competition that it's stupid. Let's see, next. And I read this actually in the Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, which is a book that I've recommended on this channel before. And the author, Stephen Covey, I believe is his name, references it as the P to PC balance, which is, I believe it's production and then your production capacity balance. And I'll explain what that means in a moment, but maybe you've heard the story or the parable of the farmer with the goose that laid golden eggs. And he wakes up one day, he's getting his eggs from his farm, and he realizes, my goose just laid a freaking golden egg, and this is insane. I'm going to take this in value, I'm going to sell it right now. I think he made like $1,000 or something from it or whatever. And the next day, he lays another golden egg, and he's surprised again. And this happens for about 6 months, and he begins to expect it. Not only does he begin to expect it, but he begins to want more. And then as he wants more of this golden egg, he decides, you know what? I'm sick of waiting 24 hours for these golden eggs. I bet if I could just killed the goose and opened up its arteries, I could just get all the eggs out of it now. And to his dismay, when he kills the goose, there are no golden eggs. And now he's actually ruined his chance of ever getting more golden eggs. And it's a great story, and I really like what it says. And what it says to me is it's important to focus on your ability to produce more than it is the actual action of producing. And so, for example, with just-in-time information, I'm increasing my ability to produce. I'm increasing my market value, right? And that begins to manifest itself in $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 payments from clients, sales of my programs, sales of coaching, whatever it is that I'm selling, because I'm always increasing my ability to produce. And so if you focus solely on production and less on your ability to produce, you will find that your production capacity drops very quickly. And it's the same in relationships as well. So he references like marriages, for example. Marriages where two parties are so focused on getting what they want out of the other that, you know, the relationship has become sort of stagnant and dull because neither is willing to invest in the other and actually invest in the production capacity of the relationship, right? And another example could be, for example, you know, buying a lawnmower. And the production that you want the lawnmower to create is that your lawn looks nice and it's been mowed and it's even, it's clean, it's got the lines through it like a good mower is supposed to have, right? Like if you're really good at what you do, you have the lines in the grass, right? And then the mower actually breaks down. And it wouldn't have broken down if you had taken the time, you know, twice a week or so to actually check the blades and make sure that the engine is running properly and pour some oil in and whatnot. But you never did that. And because you never did that, you sacrificed your production capacity for production in of itself, and now you're incapable of producing. And so what this comes down to is focusing more on your ability to produce than actually producing. And the reason why this is so incredibly crucial and important, and this is something that nobody references and nobody talks about. I haven't seen anybody talk about this. And it's something that everybody that I've worked with that is at a 7-figure level, they understand this stuff. It's private victories. It's doing things that increase your ability to produce and not looking for attention, not looking for validation, not even looking for money right now. All you're looking to do is to better yourself and to just raise your level of self-respect and raise your bottom line and raise your ability to produce. And with my business, and the reason I've been able to achieve what I've been able to achieve is because I've spent a lot of time. I've spent a whole lot of time alone, reading, studying, figuring out problems, spending time on my laptop or working with people that are helping me to actually uncover what it is that I need to do next and how to do it. And as I've gone throughout that process, I've learned so much about what it takes to actually create a good product or a good service and sell it. And because now I know how to create a good product or a good service and sell it, I'll never be broke because I understand the principles that guide product design, marketing, you know, human relationships, all these sorts of things that actually sustain a business. And so when it comes down to it, if you are simply here to produce and you're not here to increase your production capacity, then you're going to fail very quickly. Because if all you do right now at your level, and maybe you're at a level where all you could truly make is like $2 or $3 grand a month if you were self-employed, right? And you simply focus on producing, you simply focus on selling as much as you can what you're able to build. That will last 6 months to a year, and then you're gonna be broke again. And so instead of doing that, be willing to have a little bit now, just tiny bit, like a $1,500, $2,000 a month, nothing, as you focus on increasing your ability to produce. Personally, I've spent, I couldn't even tell you, I've spent so much money, over $15,000 at this point, into like programs to learn and study my craft, right? Either from coaches or courses, Some of my favorites have been the stuff from Sam Ovens. His up-level consulting program is awesome. I love that. I've got a lot of people out there that I am learning from constantly. And because I'm always learning, producing comes naturally. So it's not so much about focusing on producing, it's more so about focusing on production capacity. And if you change that simple paradigm or that simple methodology in your head, everything changes very quickly. It goes from how do I make $100,000 a year to how do I increase myself and actually increase my discipline and increase my drive and increase my creativity and my intuition, and how do I actually fill my head with the right information that allows me to make quality decisions in the heat of the moment that could guide me to achieving the outcome that I want with my life. And then money's just kind of a side effect of that. So what I don't show you guys on this channel is all the personal stuff that I struggle with or that I overcome. Things with family, things with friends, relationships that I struggle with or that I love. I'm very reserved about sharing that because to me, there's no real reason to. But if you saw all that, you'd see the picture not of just a kid who's building a business. You would see the story of a young man who's overcoming himself and who is actually achieving something that he desires out of his life. It's not just money. And so when you increase production capacity and you don't focus so much on producing, then producing comes naturally. And I hope that makes sense. So those are two of the most important principles that I followed in building my business. JIT information versus just in time versus just in case information. And then P to PC balance. Balancing your production and your production capacity. There's a balance, and I would say it's like 1 to 10, right? Like for every 10 points of production capacity, you should only be producing 1 point, if that makes sense, right? Keep your production capacity incredibly high, right? Build an army of golden geese that drip golden eggs to you, and don't worry about killing them. If you kill them, you will halt the production in its path, and you'll never produce again because now you've killed all of them. That goes back to the story of the farmer, right? And so that is really how I've been able to do what I've been able to do at a very high level view. On a very macro, day-to-day level view, it is waking up early. This morning I got up at 4:45 a.m. I was at the gym at 5. I worked out till about 6, got home, read my Bible, I prayed, meditated. I reread the book of James this morning for those of you who are interested. Great book. Then I also went into 7 Habits of Highly Effective People and reread the P to PC balance section because I knew I wanted to make this video and really just freshened up on my understanding of that. And, I think I took a cold shower and now I'm here and I am recording content for the YouTube channel. After that, I'm going to work on some client work, develop the program, do a couple coaching calls, and then do 2 sales calls. And so you can see that what I've done is I've increased my production capacity and naturally producing comes after that. And along the way, I'm not just studying stuff just to study JIC. I'm learning things in the moment that actually apply to me, which is JIT, right? And that's what I've done this entire time. And if you're doing anything else, or if you're focusing on looking good and not actually being good, if you're focusing on studying just to study, and not studying things that actually move the needle and make you more money or produce more or increase your production quality, more importantly, then you're wasting your time. If you're focusing on anything other than what I've talked about in this video, I really do believe that you're wasting your time. And, that's just my opinion, of course. I'm a young kid. I'm dumb. There's plenty more for me to learn, but that's what I've observed and that's what I believe to be true. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope this video made sense to you, and I hope it has brought you some value. And I hope it's maybe changed the way that you maybe view business, maybe the way that you view yourself, maybe the way that you view growth, because a lot of people view it as, this outward thing, that growth is an outward expression. It's really not. For every 1 point of production that I've had, maybe in my business specifically, there have been 10 points of production in another realm, up here in my head, in my heart, in my soul, in my relationships, in my outlook, and the way that I handle myself. So, yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel. On this channel, I teach you very thoroughly how to start and scale a social media marketing agency, and it's something that I do now, and I really enjoy doing it. And hopefully that's something you get a lot of value out of. And yeah, see you in the next video.